Hi, I'm Tracy Austin, and I'm going to take you through the forehand today. First, the ready position. Very important that you're on balance. Even amount of weight on both feet, and the split step so that you can go to the right or you can go to the left. And it's very important that you have great footwork. You watch the pros on TV and they seem like they're always in position. That's because they have such great footwork. They take a few long strides to the ball, and then it's the little steps to get right in position so that they're on balance. The next thing that's really important is an early shoulder turn. You watch Venus and Serena Williams on TV, and they've got that early take back with the racket and that early shoulder turn. Now you look at my hand out here, Andre Agassi, saw a lot of pictures of him like this, where he's got that shoulder turn, hand out for balance. You've got the weight down here with the knees bent. That's a good athletic position, very important. So you get that quick shoulder turn, racket take back, I'd say somewhere around head level. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it up here. That's way too big. But you want somewhat of a loop so that later on you start to develop some racket head speed. So you got that early take back, you got that little bit of a loop. You continue to turn with your shoulder and your hips and the knees bent, because that's where you're going to get a lot of the power later on the stroke. So you come through with that loop and you get that point of contact. This is the critical stage of the forehand, where you make contact. If your racket is open like this, the ball's going to go long. Closed like this, it's going to go into the net. So you really want that contact point. You step into the ball, the weight going forward, about even with your front hip. So if you're a righty, it's going to be even with that left hip. A very important aspect of the forehand, actually of all shots, is the grip, and it can be so confusing. So the way most people were taught is to shake hands with the racket, where this first knuckle is on the back side of the grip. Now that is the style of grip that was used maybe 20, 30 years ago more frequently. Now the grip has changed because people are trying to import more topspin. So therefore this first knuckle slips down underneath the grip a little bit so that when they make contact you can see that the racket head is closed more and you're brushing up on the ball at contact point to get that extra topspin. So that's very important that you get the correct grip. Now I want to go into a little more detail about the contact point, because it is so critical to hitting a fantastic forehand. I already talked to you about the contact point being about even with this front hip. And watch when I do that. Boom, the weight is transferred onto that front hip and my arm is nice and relaxed. Now if my contact point moves back, look what naturally happens to my weight. My weight goes to the back leg, which is not where you want it to be, because it's not going to be as powerful and it's not going to be as in control. So if you hit the ball like this, my arm is not relaxed because it's too far behind me. So even with my right hip, you want to be relaxed with the arm and out in front. This is the closed stance. This is the semi-open stance, and that's fine, but just make sure that your upper body was turned and you're hitting out in front. Okay? The other thing that I want to talk about is spacing. That is very important, and that's where footwork comes into play. If I'm moving and the ball's right there and I've gotten too close to the ball, my arm is not relaxed and I can't hit an effective forehand, because you need your arm to be relaxed to get that racket head speed. And my arm cannot be relaxed if it's too close to the body or if it's reaching. Now sometimes you're going to be reaching because your opponent's going to hit an excellent shot, so therefore you're just going to do the best that you can. But when you have time to get organized and get those feet in the right place, this is where you want your contact point to be, and this is appropriate spacing with your elbow relaxed a little bit and your shoulder not up here next to your ear, because again, that's where you lose that racket head speed. Right out here, looks perfect. Another aspect of the forehand that's very important and can get confusing is the stance. Do I want the closed stance, the semi-open, or the open stance when I hit? Well, a lot of people that watch TV, they see Rafael Nadal hit with the open stance, but they forget that that's open from the lower part of the body, but the upper part is still turned. That's where you're going to get your power. That's the power source. This is a stance I don't suggest for the club player on a frequent basis. It's usually used when you're on the move and you don't have time to get all the way there, and you have to plant the outside leg and use it as the power source, and you can't get the left leg involved in the forehand. But I think the stance that most club players would use the semi-open stance, but that's still a great shoulder turn with the upper part of the body, or the closed stance if they can, to get that weight transferred and forward into the shot. So now I'm going to hit a few forehands, and hopefully all of this will improve your forehand. Early take back, good footwork, and everything coming through and around together. I hope this helped you to take you to Wimbledon.